Ahoy hoy fellows! So I'm going to do a tutorial mostly for one of my clients, but this will be useful for some of you guys as well. This is just a fairly basic tutorial showing iterating on a loop and translating variables into strings and a couple of things. So it's not directly useful for anything, it'll be indirectly useful for a lot. So let's start by making a object to contain our variables. And normally when I make an object that's kind of notional like this, I'll have it not be visible. Don't destroy if it's too far from the frame. Don't use fine detection because there's no need for that. Not inactive far from the window. And that just kind of means it works more reliably. And I think for this demonstration we'll only need two variables. They're called alterable values in Clickteam, but whatever. So first we have number of cards to make. So what I want to do here basically is you start off by declaring how many cards you want the system to make, so we'll say 50. And then this will go through and make you a list of cards like this, separated by commas. And then those cards can be drawn on, and it goes up to 50, and they're all in between commas, so you can search for the cards later. That's the idea. Let me just size that up, just in case you've got low resolution. Yeah, so and the principle here with most of these things is that you have simple inputs and simple outputs. So this is kind of the input and output. Let's say that. So the input is, this is the number of cards I want you to make, please. And then the output is, here is the list of cards, sir. And there you go. And in between, you've got the program that does the work. That's the magic. And if you do it right, you get a nice reliable input, a nice reliable output, and it's all very simple in principle. So that I think is how these things work. So our first variable is number of cards to make, and the second variable can be the cards iterator. Now I'm trying to use this what's it even called? This event list editor these days. It's not what I'm used to using, honestly, but there we go. So we said at the start of the level, we can say how many cards we want it to make, and we'll say 50. And then we add another action that says we'll start a loop that says make X cards, and we'll do that once. Then we make another. We define this make X cards loop, same name. I like to copy those. And let's see. Oh yes. First thing to do is set up the defaults. Oops. Yeah, actually, let's set up the defaults. So we'll set the cards iterated to 0 as a kind of starting position. And I will also make a string parser. I'll put a string parser in here. I forget if you have to download these or not. If you do, the manager here will have... you may have to install the string parser from the extensions here, but that's not difficult. It just takes a couple of seconds to do. So we're not really going to use the string parser's abilities in this, but we may in a future tutorial, so let's put it there. And then the other thing to do is we set the string here to a comma, because like I say, we want to have these in between commas, because the idea is if you were searching for 1, say, and if you just search for 1, well, 1 can be found inside 11, right? 1 can be found inside 31. It can be found inside 100, because that's not what you're asking for. You want to have a sign of completion either side, so that that 1 is saying comma 1 comma, always kind of got signs of completion either side, so that you're definitely looking for just that unique 1 and not the wrong thing. You do have to be precise with the computers. So we run that, and then we add another thing that says new routine, so iterate cards. And this time, this will be a genuine loop, so we'll run it with a number of cards to make. So now we'll run iterate cards, and that will run 50 times. So this is quite a common structure. You set up what you want, you run something once, and then that runs a sub loop that will run however many times you want, and it gets you what you need. So we then define iterate cards, and here's where it gets important. So we've already set the cards iterated to 0 up there, but now if each time it does iterate cards we add 1 to the cards iterator, we've got, this thing is going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way to 50 and then end, because that's the number of times it's running it. And we can test this out as well. So I've actually got the plus version of Clickteam these days. I didn't used to, but I now have the plus version, and that gives you these nice little debug messages that are native. If you don't have the plus version, that's fine. You can make a list or have some other way of displaying the same thing. The principle's very similar, but the plus version's got this nice little debug output. Should be in there anyway, to be honest, but whatever. It wasn't that expensive. So then we say debugger, we send text to the output window. Let's say, yeah, and strings in Clickteam use these quotation marks, double quotation marks for the strings, and then you can add strings together with plus here like this. And another handy thing is you can stringize variables. So I'll just show what happens if you don't stringize the variable. So it's a bit pedantic in a way. If I say iterating card number and I put the variable in there, it'll say mix strings and numbers here. But if I stringize that expression, that counts as a string now, and it should be able to show me all 50 cards. And there we go. And it's kind of notional so far, obviously, but this is the basis of iterating on a loop. You see all the cards coming in, and messages like this can be really useful. Like if you've got something big and complicated happening, like I've got a world generating thing in my game, it really helps to be able to see exactly what it's doing and dig in there. And so you can stop it making these messages later on or whatever, but you can use them to see more clearly what's happening and have the process explain itself in human readable terms. But then the important thing is you want to add to the string. So this is neat too. You can set the string to itself plus put the comma on the end, and before that again we'll stringize the variable here, the cards iterator. Boom. And like I say, what that's going to do is we'll start with the comma. It'll add 1, 2, 3, 4, comma, and go all the way up to 50, comma, and you've got a list basically. You've got the exact list you asked for of those numbers. So finally, I'll just have it, if I'll add another event saying, say debugger, send text to output window, total list is, and I'll use single quotation marks. If you want to use double quotation marks, I think, so 2 quotation marks will be nothing. That's kind of quotation marks with null in between them. If you put double quotation marks inside the quotation marks, that then counts as a single quotation mark in the output. I'm pretty sure that's it. And yes, this could get very confusing to look at very fast. I've suffered with this myself. But you can get double quotation marks. You don't have to worry about that exactly, but it can get complicated to look at. Right, so then we read out the string as part of the output. And the string is already a string, so it doesn't need to be stringized. So there we go. And what we should see when we run this program is that it goes through all the 50 cards, and there it is, and there's the total list, and it's a list from 1 to 50, and you're not going to get any mistakes because there's commas on either side of everything, and you can then use that for things, like I may have a tutorial after this showing how you can take that list of 50 cards and take a random one from the list, remove it, and put it into a second list so you can shuffle those cards. But I think that'll be a separate thing. But for now, I think that's it, and that just So that shows you a couple of nice things. It shows you stringizing things. It shows you iterating on a loop, and how obviously this wasn't spectacular, but it's good good basics for being able to build machines for you. So that's it for this tutorial. I'll see you guys next time. Do you have a game idea you've always wanted to make but don't know how to get started? My coaching is designed to help you finish your first game in Clickteam Fusion 2.5. Click the link in the description to join my Discord server, and let's get you on the path to being the game developer you always wanted to be.